Hey y'all, I'm Cory Ames, a writer and naturalist based in San Antonio, Texas. In this video, I'm going to explain how we can do the impossible. Five of the 6 biggest waves ever surfed were surfed at Nazaré. Nazaré is a small Portuguese coastal town where first in 2011, an American surfer named Garrett McNamara rode a 78-foot wave. This set a new world record and forever changed the big wave surfing world. Since McNamara's first 78-footer, 6 other surfers have surfed monster waves at Nazaré. 2 surpassed McNamara's, and now German surfer Sebastian Studner holds the Guinness World Record at 86 feet. The waves were always in Nazaré, but it's only over the last decade and some change that the small fishing village has become the big wave surf capital of the world. All world-class big wave surfers have to try their hand at Nazaré. So what happened? The big wave surf world didn't know Nazaré was surfable. The area had a surf culture, but any surfer who saw the towering Nazaré waves thought it was too big and dangerous. Finally, a surfer, Garrett McNamara, showed up and thought, it's possible. Once McNamara took on Nazaré and set the world record, other big wave surfers of similar caliber thought, I can do that too. Maybe we're all familiar with this kind of story. It's the same story as the first runner to run a sub 4-minute mile. Back in 1954, Roger Bannister did what couldn't be done and ran a mile in 3 minutes and 59 seconds.
The most sought-after target in athletics, the 4-minute mile, was achieved yesterday evening on the Oxford University track at Iffley Road.
Roger Bannister broke all mile records on the same ground on which he had run his first mile race.
Since then, well over 1,600 athletes have done the same. Bannister and McNamara showed others what was possible. It turned out that these feats weren't impossible, they just hadn't been done yet. So, with their example, others took on and achieved similar, or in some cases, even more extraordinary feats. To me, it isn't just the exceptional courage or curiosity of the first people to do what's impossible. What's also worth paying attention to is the tide that follows. These groundbreakers make it possible for countless others to follow in their footsteps. Those discoveries produce incredible energy. Just by knowing what can be done, so much else gets done. And so I can't help but think, what's the tide I can help create? And you, someone likewise, interested in living and working sustainably, what do you know is possible that others don't? For example, I know we have the potential to reverse droughts, cool the planet, and rebuild the health of our soils just by composting and planting well-adapted vegetation. I know we can provide refuge for ourselves and our communities, lowering ground temperatures by 20 to 45 degrees just with trees. But does everybody? If more people knew, would that change anything? It might not change everyone's actions. Not everyone is meant to be a big wave surfer or run a sub 4-minute mile. But neither McNamara nor Bannister still holds the world record in their respective fields. It didn't take long for their records to be broken either. McNamara had the title of the largest wave surfed for 7 years. Bannister held the record for the fastest mile for just 46 days. Once we learn that these things are possible, and sometimes easily done, we can chip away at the problems we face that are impossible to solve. And maybe most importantly, we can inspire a network of others to do the same, or find their very own Nazaré. In my many conversations about sustainability over the years, I've received the most significant pushback, not for aspirational visions for the future, but about the possibility of things we know are already possible. Despite our enthusiasm to rally behind the hero who attempts the impossible in some of the most extreme scenarios, despite seemingly insurmountable odds, things like neighborhood solar panel installations, habitat restoration, and businesses that guarantee no child labor in their supply chain can be looked at with skepticism. But like surfing Nazaré, these things are incredibly possible. How do we know? Because it's already being done. It's not just neighborhoods running off of renewable energy, entire states are. Electric vehicles aren't just hypothetical anymore. They are soon to become part of the mainstream. So why do we resist jumping on the bandwagon for some of the more mundane day-to-day possibilities for making things cleaner or greener? The answer, indeed, isn't because it just hasn't been done before. It's that we, personally, just haven't seen it. So what do? I've learned there's a shared motivation behind the efforts of many making social or environmental actions their life's work. To show others what's possible, both for the first time and the 100th. Because many of these people consciously or subconsciously know that, like the examples we shared before, the McNamaras, the Bannisters, etc., if they can show others what can be done, they know more will do it. This reminds me of my conversation with Schneider, CEO of Natel Energy. Her company, which she co-founded with her brother, is designing and implementing hydropower projects that produce affordable, clean, renewable energy and leave the river ecosystems they are set up in better off. Here's a piece of that interview worth sharing here.
At the end of the day, whether it's policymakers or general discussion and interest, it's always grounded in what people think is possible. Maybe even electric vehicles is a good example of that. If you were to rewind 15 years ago and talk to somebody 15 years ago, many people were of the view that it was a really far out likelihood that electric vehicles would be where we are today, right? That the path we're on a path of phasing out internal combustion engines within, not just like my lifetime, but within the next, we're talking within a portion of my lifetime. And that's a huge shift in perception of what's possible. And I think in hydro, we can show that with innovation, it is possible to actually make fish-safe turbines, to make it possible for hydropower facilities to take elements of river restoration and combine that so that we end up with projects that help to restore or maintain river function while also generating renewable energy, that those projects can help deal with these changing water patterns that we see, particularly with the extreme precipitation events, that raising the awareness of what's possible then helps shift the general perception of an interest, right? Because people want to focus on things that are possible.
People want to focus on things that are possible. I get it. Why even try if something seems impossible to accomplish? Most of us can't or won't ever get the chance or the desire to be the first to do the impossible. I know in no universe will I ever be running a sub 4-minute mile or surfing a wave bigger than 5 feet on purpose, but that's okay. Extreme sports might be about the one, but the rest of life might be about the many. And that's energizing for me to think about, because I know a movement, a change, a historic shift doesn't happen with one person doing the impossible. Sure, that might be how it starts, but a movement, by definition, is a group of people working towards a common goal. So we might never be the first, but many of us will be the 4th, 600th, or millionth person to do what that first person showed was possible. We might not be the first to compost, harvest rainwater, or plant a mini forest on the planet, but we surely could be the first to do so in our town, school, friend group, or family. Gia, her brother, and their company Natel Energy might not be the exact people who convert and scale the 260 billion plus kilowatt hours of hydropower produced in the US to be fish friendly or better for our rivers. But others in their sector will see what they've done and know they can do it too. Those slow to adjust won't be able to excuse outdated methods because of a lack of a more sustainable, restorative alternative. And because of that, the Natel team has already changed everything. The rest of us just need to know about it so we can accept that it is possible. It's what the book, Regeneration, Ending the Climate Crisis in One Generation did for me. With the many incredible ways we can implement nature-based solutions to climate change, I came to believe that we can end the climate crisis in my lifetime. It's what discovering Dean's Beans Organic Coffee Company did for me. Founder Dean Sycon had me believe that a sustainable, profitable coffee business can be run while not simply not exploiting people or the planet, but in fact making those stakeholders definitively better off. It's what discovering Anyele Halova and her real estate development firm Adre did for me. Anyele showed that development can be done in an equitable, sustainable, and fair way for the community. It's what discovering Eric Henry with TS Designs did for me. I came to believe that a profitable, sustainable business could be run while manufacturing products transparently and ethically, all while being 100% made in America. It's what discovering the work of Neil Spackman in Saudi Arabia did for me. I came to believe that, as Neil says, humans have the potential to be a keystone species. We can turn our many degraded, barren landscapes into thriving, regenerative, income-producing ecosystems. These people, companies, and initiatives have helped show me what's possible. And the more I chase the curiosity, the more I believe incredible things can and will be done. Sure, some things are impossible, but in some instances, what's limiting our collective ability to build a truly better world for all is what we think we know is or isn't possible, when maybe it already is. As we face countless challenges and seemingly insurmountable crises, maybe we believe something different or better is possible. We may even seek out the possible amid the calls for panic, focusing on problems versus solutions and the assumed certainties that something we want or need cannot or will not be done. Progress is about the possible. It's about seeking it and sharing it in every conceivable way. What can be done when we know what's possible? All right, y'all, that's a wrap. If you liked this ensemble and want to keep up with those to come, consider subscribing to my free newsletter that explores the art of living and working sustainably. You can find a link in the show notes or video description below, or you can go to CoryAmes.com. All right, y'all, until next time.